I'm Lamuel Holmes. I work here at Walker Honda. I've been here at Honda for 20 years, been in the car business for almost 25, and I still look young. Changes in the car business, more people now are savvy about tech knowledge. They do more shopping via the internet, things like that. They come in with prices. You got to be ready for that, of course. But the biggest thing that I see about the car business is, especially for people coming in, you got to remember it's a marathon, not a sprint. And what I mean by that is you're not going to come in and just run the gamut and just take over and be a 20 car man automatically. You have to work, dedicate, make sure you do your follow up, things like that to get there. You know, when you see a customer, even if it's out in the store and you recognize them, speak to them. I go above and beyond. If I gotta go jump a customer off, if I gotta go pick a car up, if I gotta go deliver a car. I mean, I've been doing that for years and I've just made it continue. Plus as well, is when I see them in service, I always go try to talk to them. I always remember little tidbits, whether you gotta write them down in a notebook or whether you can recall from day-to-day memory about that customer, so when you see them and you can ask them something about something they told you in the last deal, it lets them know that you were paying attention. You have to pay attention to each individual and make sure you have something in your mind when you go talk to them about their life, their lives. So to them, you are aware of them as a person. You don't just see them as a business entity or a way to make money. Probably my biggest motivation is, of course, I have children and they have things that they want, things that they need. So I try to make sure that I work hard enough to where they can have it better than I did as a kid. I don't talk about my background a whole lot, but to be honest, I'll tell anybody, I was raised in a single parent household. I came from, my mom was a school teacher. She taught for 30 years. I never wanted to be a teacher because they didn't get paid enough. My first year in the car business as a salesperson, I made more than my mom, who at that point had been a teacher for 20 some odd years. I made more than she did. When I go home and I see my kids and they're sitting there and they want, toys or whatever, I want to be able to say, hey, let's go get them. I mean, that's probably the biggest motivating factor for me, is making sure my kids live a little bit better than I did. When you watch a motivational video, or when you listen to a motivational speaker, even when you're listening to the training videos, within those videos, there's always something about finding your why. You have to have that why somewhat defined, if not fully defined, so that you'll know why you're doing what you're doing and where you're trying to get to while you're doing what you're doing. Once you define that why and get that why located, you can make moves. And I'll tell anybody, I wasn't always the best salesperson. I wasn't always at the top, because in my younger years, I goofed off a lot because of the fact that, hey, I only need to make X, Y, Z. My money cutoff was motivation then. Now it's a different why in my life. My life changed. Got married, kids. That changed my why, changed my motivation. So therefore, define what your why is, find that motivation, and make that motivation work for you. I think that the biggest part is not being complacent. Once you get to a certain number, once you're making a certain amount of money, that can't be the do-all, end-all. There has to be something next. There has to be something else. As far as training videos, I watched Joe Verdi, Grant Cardone. This year, I've met a guy from Atlanta that I tune into pretty regularly. He's a trainer for one of the larger Ford dealerships in that area, corporate trainer. And in talking to him, he said that everyone that comes through the dealership has to go through him. So I've been watching more of his videos because he does one at like 5 a.m. in the mornings, and then he'll do on Wednesdays, he has an individual that he'll do. And just listening to him and kind of listening to the guys that he brings in, which are, you know, a little different points of view compared to what we have. But you can never fall into the trap of just listening to one trainer. Always do some research on your own, because there's more than one way to skin a cat. So you have to make sure you have every angle covered when dealing with a customer. You know, you have to make sure if they go this way, what's gonna happen? You gotta have your thoughts in your mind so that you can manage the situation without having to keep running back and forth to the desk. I think it's in the corporate world, it's one of the higher compliments that you can be paid by your peers, is them saying, hey, you have great work ethic. Work ethic to me means you come to work every day, you're trying to figure out how to accomplish the goals that you've already set by doing the necessary things. If you got to make phone calls, if you got to get on internet leads, if you got to send videos, whether QuickPage or through your phone, because, you know, back before QuickPage, we did them through our phones. If you got whatever you got to do to get that customer here to make it happen, that's what you do. That's everyday journey. Success is measured by, for me, in the goals that I accomplish from the beginning to the end of the year. Looking at the end of the year, looking at where I've come versus last year. And in the income that I've generated, making sure that I try to keep it going up every year. Making sure that my units go up, and just making sure I bring the best me to each customer that I can. That's the biggest part of success for me, is being able to relish each customer and make sure that they get the Lamuel Homes experience.